Call the order for the annual meeting for the Citizens for Backus, ED. Welcome everybody. I'm really glad you showed up. It's cold weather night again. And looking forward to a really good meeting. Basically, we've had a super really good year. And I think as we get into it, you'll be pretty pleased with some of the results that we've had. Are there any additions to the agenda? I have one addition I'd like to put under new business. I'd like to have ISAC Meyer from Kutaska Community Action kind of fill everybody in on the Alexander Baker project, where it's at now and where it's going forward, and how it will impact our business and things like that. So Isaac's got a really super good story, and he's a perfect person to tell us all about it. Some housekeeping items. I guess the only thing on Zoom is Donna, if you want to say something, wave or whatever, so if you want to speak, that we don't miss out on you. And if anybody else wants to, feel free to make any comments or whatever. We do have the podium with the microphone up here, so please come up to the front. That way everybody can see who is speaking. I'd like to welcome everybody to the annual meeting. It's been a very interesting year for the Backus Community Center, to say the least. But we've had just a tremendous staff response and innovative solutions to things. It's been actually a very good year. It was good to see the building vibrant, lots of people coming in and out, things going on, and I'd like to say we're getting back to normal. The biggest change that I've noticed in the past year is the change of activities within Backus. Not only the tenant mix has changed, but the people coming into the building, whether it's the food shelf people or education, things like that. We've got things like bridge classes going on, and who would have thought? So that's been a really interesting transition. First of all, I'd like to introduce all of our board members. I'm Bob Marquardt, president of the board. And I'm just going to go around the room. All of our board members are here, with the exception of Donna. So why don't you go first, Donna?
Frederickson.
Someplace south and warm and sunny.
Yes.
Gail Wagner.
Sherry Michelle.
Jim Lyman.
Tom Smith.
Molly Bragg.
Tracy Blunser. Julie Burkowski.
Tim Fairchild.
All right.
And
You can't forget the money lady. Excellent. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the meeting from last year. It's actually here. They're in. If you haven't read it yet, it's pretty comprehensive, pretty interesting. It was an interesting meeting last year. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Anybody in favor?
Aye.
Noes? We've approved the minutes for last year's meeting. The next item on the agenda is the nomination election of new board members. And we do have, pages that on here. We do have 3 nominations. We are full term as far as the board. We have 11 in our bylaws, and we have 11 members that are present. We have 3 people up for renewal. It's Patty Bwan, Julie Bukowski, and Gail Rognerud. I will entertain if there's any other nominations from the floor. Anybody would like to nominate somebody else? Any nominations from the floor? Any nominations from the floor? That being said, we'll go ahead and make a vote to elect the 3 nominated board of directors. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Welcome aboard again. By the way, all. Sorry?
Did you guys have, go introduce that large number for people who attend tonight's annual meeting? Like married leave on there, and we have some non-board
Oh, okay.
members.
Well, I didn't know who they were. We do have some guest members who are joining us tonight. We have that one that's on Zoom. Can you hear me, Mary Lee? Can you hear me? Is she on?
Yes, this is Mara Cusera.
Oh, Mara, I'm sorry.
I mute.
Okay, good. Well, welcome to the meeting.
Thank you.
We also have, let's see, Mr. and Mrs. Stewart are also here as members. Welcome back again. Good to see you. Thank you for being a member. Anybody else? Oh. Alan?
Yeah.
Alan Johnson as a member, and
Peggy Kelly.
Peggy Kelly. Anybody that I've missed?
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to have Lois Lundeen introduce the staff that are present tonight.
Hello, everyone. I am Lois Lundeen. I'm the Executive Director here at Backus, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you our staff. Why is writing down names for the fabulous prizes. We do have staff who are not here tonight. Darcy Sullivan is our Program Director for KCCTV. I would like to acknowledge her. We do have Alyssa Crawford. Alyssa is our Office Assistant. And we have our brand new event coordinator, Michaela Porter, is here with us tonight. Welcome, Michaela. We're very happy to have you on board. In addition to these folks, we also have folks who are in the kitchen tonight preparing and working through Community Cafe. Rebecca Wright, Leonard Bobs, Mary Ann Lean, Jill Malone, and June Wilson are all down in the kitchen tonight and they're working with Community Cafe. We have a custodian and a janitor. Jerry Bowler is our custodian, and Joe Kenny is our janitor. They are not here tonight, but they are staff. This team works very, very well together, and I'm very proud to have them all together.
We've got a good group.
Very good group.
I'd like to welcome another member that came in, Carrie. Welcome aboard. Okay, next we'll go into the next item on the agenda is a review and discussion from the various committees. Why don't we start out with Lois? Do you want to just do a quick ED project?
I sure can. Isaac, as Bob indicated, yes, Isaac is here and he will give a more thorough update, but I just wanted to let everyone know that the piece that is in the annual report is the press release that was released out to the Rainy Lake Gazette, but it outlines that on January 28th, the Minnesota Housing selected the Alexander Baker Housing Project for an allocation of federal low-income housing tax credits. That means that the dream that people had 20 years ago to have the Alexander Baker repurposed into housing is going to come to fruition, and we couldn't be happier. There was a loud cheer in here when Isaac called. We talked for a few minutes. I had to hang up and say, I have to call you back. And then we talked. But we are very, very excited to have this housing project underway. So slow but sure, things are moving forward.
All right. The next item is the Executive Director's Report.
The Executive Director's Report is written a bit differently this year. I thought it would be nice to break it out into quarters and show some of the key events that happened. I'm not going to go through line by line, but I'll give you some highlights. In quarter one, you'll see that we had a number of security issues that were addressed. We updated some LED lighting in and around the building, particularly on the exterior of the building for the safety and security of all of our guests who come and go. In quarter two, summer food program kicked off, and we had a banner year. We had a record year for summer food. We served if we had 12 more meals, we'd have hit 10,000. And that's just unheard of. That's a banner year and a wonderful year. The project to line the lower level hallway in the stairs and the stairway up to the first floor was completed. That secured our plaster, which was crumbling a bit. And that project continues now up to the second floor. The biggest thing that happened in second quarter was Coochin County approved the sale of 25 feet of property to this side of the building. Our property line ended at the window wells. It now goes 25 feet. It extends from 5th Avenue to 3rd Avenue, which gives us a nice addition to our parking that we can call Backus's. So that's a boost. In quarter three, new handrails and more lighting was added to the east side of the building, which is very good for our handicap access and for those very awkward steps that lead down to 9th Avenue. So that was a tremendous plus for us. And we purchased a digital piano for the Backus music program. Q4, there was a large Kimball grand piano in this room. We donated that to the Faith United Church as a part of a joint music program. That was very successful and is very good for their congregation. We were happy to be able to share that with them. You'll see that we have some work underway in the very near future. I hope that we see this come to life, but we're working with the local veterans office to have a veterans memorial here in Backus. It'll be populated with items and managed by the Historical Museum here in town. And our Mighty Mustangs Wrestling Club is downstairs, and that's huge. They were hoping for about 12 kids. They have 30, which is great. It's wonderful to have the little kids running around and being coached to grow up to be fine young adults. We are very, very excited about 2022 for Backus. 2021 was a great year, and 2022 is going to be better. We are manned with a great team. We have a wonderful and very diverse board, and we have a strong base of volunteers, and that's what it takes to make all of this happen. So,
Thank you, Lois. We've done a good job and it's showing.
very good year.
Next item is the finance update and treasurer's report. Patty?
I'll just briefly mention a few things. On page 10, please note the list of grants that are there, and kudos to our staff for bringing in all that grant money and writing those grants. We couldn't do it without those, and acknowledge the city and the county for their support. We greatly appreciate that. Another thing to mention is, this is on the next page. Yeah, page 12. About a quarter of the way down, our membership, we had a goal of $35,000, and we exceeded our membership this year, which was a great improvement, and we're quite happy to have our continued membership and new members. And then there's also members for the CCTV, which is a separate membership, but we appreciate all of those things. And the rest, we are financially sound and had a good year. And if there's any other questions about finances, you can direct them to Walk.
Thank you, Patty. It's nice to see positive numbers, and a lot of the nonprofits are really struggling, COVID aside sort of thing, and everybody's begging for money and this sort of thing. It's been a real struggle for a lot of organizations, but I think we have enough positive moving parts that people like what we see from all different areas. So we've been very fortunate, and we hope it will continue. Building use, I guess, Lois, that's rural area.
In this picture, we added some, or in this page, we added some photographs, just to kind of capture the spirit of things that were happening in Backus. Something that we did not write about that should be brought to mention, though, is that in our main hallway, if you walk near the office, you'll see a display of military flags. Those were donated to us by Fred Napper, and they are a permanent fixture here at Backus, so they will be on display permanently in Backus. That was a very generous and kind donation. On the next page, you'll see some of the activities listed and the attendance. All in total, the numbers that are on this page come to 19,209 people walking through the doors that we have recorded over the course of 2021. Things are busy.
Okay, well, might as well stay right there and talk about volunteers.
Volunteers, as I said earlier, we couldn't do what we're doing without our volunteers. We have a very sound base of volunteers, particularly for the community cafe. We have a number of people coming there, and Ruby's Pantry, we've had a solid base of volunteers. So those make up the bulk of our volunteer base. Had we not had the community cafe numbers that we had, the cost per meal would be much higher. The cost per meal, even though we are serving more meals in 2021 than 2020, the cost per meal did decrease, and it's because we have that stable base of volunteers.
The number that always comes back and hits me really hard is the number of dollars saved with the volunteers. The
Yes.
$214,000
Mhm.
that the volunteers are contributing, if you have, we're paying them wages, that's a big, big dollar
Yes.
amount. Okay. Guess we did operations as well.
Should I do operations, or would you like to, Patty?
Patty?
Yes. The operations report is on page 19. There's just some highlights of things that we covered over the year. There was many more things that we discussed, but I just summarized the highlights. The biggest thing probably we have coming up now, and we have a subcommittee, which is Jim Lyman and Tom Smith. And it's on the boiler project. And converting, for those of you that don't know, there's one central heating system for both buildings, and it has to be separated. And so that's our biggest operation project we have coming up. But other than that, is there any questions?
Thank you, Patty. The next item is the Endowment Fund. That's my area. I'm pretty excited the way things are going. This is a big deal for an organization like Backus to come up with a fund that's set aside not to do daily operations. It's to sustain the future of the different activities within the building and programs and things like that. And it's a sign of a true successful organization when you can actually have an endowment fund that's over and above your general operating. And it's one of the things that I was a little bit concerned when we first got involved with, well, if people are gonna give money to the endowment fund, is it gonna cannibalize something else? Just like we struggled with membership. Is membership gonna take away from something else? It turns out it's not. I think people understand the endowment fund is totally different than just a generic operating sort of thing. It's a kind of a bank vault hidden away with stuff, dollars put aside, and as opposed to the daily operating. Because we're in pretty good shape financially with the daily operating, we don't have to worry about, well, gee, if we collect money, maybe we shouldn't go to the endowment fund. The nice thing about the endowment fund too is their goal is $1 million. We've just started our campaign. It's going to be a 3-year campaign, $1 million goal. I'm very, very confident we will achieve that. It's not necessarily the time. I think it's the generosity of the people that are interested in endowing. The committee has come up with a different ways of raising funds and getting dollars. We've gone through the first part of making everybody aware of what's going on, but there'll be a series of activities going on in which we're going to try and get people involved in whatever. Just about everybody in this room, as well as our membership, will be contacted, will be involved some way or another. Not only is it the committee that'll be actively pursuing, but we'll also have our board members. So we want to generate the enthusiasm and really get it going. As far as somebody had asked me the question about the placement of funds, at the end of last year, we had $135,000 that was set aside, and it's currently sitting in a CD waiting to be invested into a professional management group. And we kind of decided $200,000 would be the number when we make the move. I think the timing might be good now that interest rates are going to be taking off. Maybe we'll be able to do pretty well. But I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be interesting, and you're going to hear a lot about it. If anybody has any interest or any questions, whatever, please do not hesitate to call. Melissa's our contact person, but whether it's questions or ideas, definitely would like to get everybody involved. Next is building and grounds.
A number of the items that are listed on the building and grounds page have already been touched on just lightly, and you'll find that they're very easy to read through. But I do want to call your attention to clearing out the items out of the AV school. That is our current endeavor, and it's coming along very nicely. In previous years, the second and third floors were vacated, but there are some items that we need to remove from the first floor. So that's what we're working on. You'll probably see on Facebook different areas where we have some things that we're giving away and parting with. Other things are coming over here for storage, and there are some owners. The school district has some materials here, so we'll be reaching out to them to ask them to come get their items. But the building clean out is coming along very nicely. Any questions on building and grounds?
Okay, next item is arts and programming. Lois,
Arts and programming has also been busy, and that's the fun part of that, is we look to bring in concerts, music, and arts and entertainment for our community. So we have a really good committee who works together to put together things, activities that people will, our target is to reach everyone in our community and provide something for everyone. So you'll see the different activities that we've had with the performing arts season, the artwork that has been on display. We had a Memorial Day celebration in the auditorium where families brought in artifacts and photos and stories. We partnered with some of the folks over at the Faith United Church and had Fall Fantasia. Rainy Lake Community Orchestra is alive and well. We had a holiday concert here at Christmas time. And then the local photography club, Northwoods Shutterbugs, had a fundraising show for Backus. But it was really nice because they filled this room with photography like what you see on the walls over here. But this room was jam-packed, and they're talking about having another one. It's great to see the artwork, the talent, and things that are happening in our community. The remainder of the performing arts season consists of concerts that are coming up yet. We have, I'm gonna put in a shameless plug for Saturday night. Gary Hooker will be here with Paradigm, and we'd love to see all of you come. So please do come join us for a great night of music. After that, we have the Shane Martin Band, and that will wrap up our 2022 performing arts. But the Rainy Lake Community Orchestra will also be performing on May 4.
excellent. Okay. Events coordinator?
Event coordinator, we had an event coordinator here for the lion's share of 2021, but she did leave. She left our employment, but I'm very happy that we have Michaela now. In that absence, from November until now, and Alyssa and I have been really coordinating and working with Jerry and Joe and others here to fill that vacancy. But we are very happy to have someone on board. The event coordinator has a host of responsibilities that are outlined on this page, and it takes a lot to make these shows work and to align all the details. So we're happy to have you here.
Okay, excellent. Bards?
There isn't anyone here from the Bards, but they had a production of Pinocchio. Charlotte's Web is coming up next, and is it Charlotte's? Yeah, and then what's after that? What's the next one?
Peter Pan.
Peter Pan, thank you. Takes a village here, thank you. So the Bards are very busy, and they're having a successful year. They've added a few people to their staff to help them with some organizational items and just to get people involved. But everyone who's involved in the Bards is having a successful and a good year. They have very good participation.
Excellent. KCCTV.
CCTV is busier than it has ever been. We continue to have calls for, can you please come and cover? Can you make sure that you're at this meeting or that meeting? Because organizations understand that the public is a bit hesitant to come into meetings, but KCC provides excellent coverage. So she and Mitchell and sometimes Darcy's kids cover a lot of the events that are happening in our community. Be it a meeting, a concert, a play, school activities. It was really interesting. I was in the office the other day. Tom came by and we looked up at the TV, and here they were showing a live broadcast of the swim meet. So we're used to seeing hockey, basketball, but here's all these kids that were swimming. It was really very good. Hi, Alan.
Good to hear.
Welcome. I thought it was interesting on here that it said as of February, KCC TV has uploaded over 200 programs on YouTube. That's a busy place to be.
I think the future of KCCTV, not only for the local community though, is the YouTube exposure.
Yes.
Public access TV through Midco is fine, but that doesn't expose, people from all over the world now can watch our programs. And, we will get comments like, gee, international following, my gosh, look at this program they're putting on. So that is a real positive for us, a good exposure. And I'm glad it's working out technology-wise.
In a very recent report, we had reports that people from the United Kingdom have been dialing into our YouTube. So that's cool. I don't know if there's people that are dialing into home or what, but it's very interesting to me that the word is getting out and people are watching.
I think I'd just like to add on to that, kind of goes a little bit with what we've been doing, is we've had this Hidden Talents program through KCCTV and through a Minnesota State Art Boards grant, where we trying to find people in the community that are doing unique things that people didn't realize. They're non-professional musicians of some kind, and we've had some real surprises, let me tell you, everything from little kids playing violins to a 101-year-old lady singing. And that, of course, gets photographed through KCCTV, and it gets credited through the Minnesota Arts Board Hidden Talents program, so it's on our record, and then it gets distributed around. And of course, you probably are familiar with YouTube. It does show the count, how many people have actually viewed it. And it's interesting, there's no rhyme or reason or pattern, just some people are interested in other things, but it's a real fun tool for us to help the community center.
It is. I'm gonna share with you that they were filmed at our Christmas program, no, our Winter Whimsy program. We have a group of 4 women in town who call themselves the Mother Pluckers. They play fun music and they sing, it's beautiful. Gary Hooker is coming to town this weekend, he's a local and he plays, but this group of women is going to open for him and they're going to sing the last number. So it's very interesting that they're seeing one another, they know talent, capabilities, and they're welcoming that. So it's been a really cool experience for both these women and for Gary and his group.
And the whole Hidden Talents and KCTV have been great to get people to do these sort of things during this whole COVID, whatever. And, you know, if people are performing and getting together and we're playing, it's really a lot of fun. It's good legacy that we're gonna be able to carry forward. Okay, tell us about Ruby's Pantry.
Ruby's Pantry. Ruby's Pantry continued to run relatively strong. They showed some tapering numbers as the year went along last year. So in November, after the November distribution, the Ruby's Pantry team decided to take a pause. They decided to put their operation on pause. They are going to have some leadership changes within Ruby's Pantry. And they're looking at their processes. Should we have it on this date? Should we continue to have this date? Do we need to change up the way that we're doing things? And we need to work harder to get volunteers to come in. And they've taken that time. They will be resuming operations in March. So I believe that it's March 15th, that they will resume operations. And I think that we are going to see, I would expect that we're going to see that they will be busier this year now with, as we all know, the rising costs of food and things happening with utilities in our community. So yeah, I'm happy to report that the group has decided to start back up and they will begin in March.
And that will be here at Backus, we will continue to be the whole site.
Yes, all of the guests remain outside. It's a drive-through service. Only the volunteers are indoors. So we really still work to keep that as safe as possible for everyone. It works really very well.
Good, glad to see you coming back. Community Cafe, a wonderful little break
Oh,
spot.
this is the kind of the heart and soul of all of our volunteer efforts here at Backus. I could tell you stories. I could talk with you about the value of this. Not too long ago, we talked about people still ask the question, how do you know people need the food? And they really work with the community to define need. Sometimes it's an emotional thing, sometimes it's that people don't know how to cook, sometimes it's caregivers that say, I've had long days, 2 nights a week I get a break. There are these stories all the time out here. We hear about how people look at the people that they wait with in line and they develop friendships. They feel very confident in the staff and in the volunteers who are here, and they feel like they belong. If they need help, they come here. If they have questions, they come here. And they get their food and they go home. I think one of the most beautiful things that I've seen come through from Community Cafe is within our community as a whole. As people learn more about need, as people learn and understand more about what's really going on in the community around them, our community is a bit more compassionate than it used to be. And people are more caring and understanding. And I guess that's the thing about Community Cafe that I am the most proud of. It's more than just the food.
Good, excellent.
And if you, look at our numbers, last year, 2021, we served 25,278 meals. That's crazy, that's just busy, it's really good.
Okay. Summer food service.
Summer food is our other big food program here at Backus Community Center. Usually starts right after school is out, when the school district stops their meal program, summer food kicks in, and we start serving hot, nutritious lunches to children. It runs from 11, usually till 1:30 or 11:30 to 1:30. The children line up outside, they pick up their meals, or parents pick up meals and take them home. People ask if we're going to start having our meal service indoors. And while we would like to do that for the social part for the kids, the parents really appreciate being able to pick food up and take it home for their children. They said it's very difficult to get little kids to eat when there's 50 other kids in the room. They just would much rather get up and play. So they're seeing that our food is being utilized better, and their children are being fed better, simply because they can sit down at their own table at home and they eat their lunch. Last summer I was coming back, I had an appointment downtown and I was driving back, and I came around the corner here and I was just watching the kids coming home. I just sat for a little bit and just watched them. And there was a little boy on his bike, and he had come and he got lunch for himself. I had seen him here before, but he got lunch for himself and his little brother, and he had the bag hanging on the handlebars of his bike, and he was going like crazy down the street, and he was smiling. But he was finally old enough, and he told us the story as summer went on, but he was finally old enough that his mom let him come here by himself and get lunch. And that's just a real, it's a great way to help kids grow up and to know that there are safe places, and that Backus is a welcoming place for them to come. So summer food is very good. Like I said, we served 9,988 lunches last summer.
Wow, it's pretty impressive.
Taco in a bag is still number one.
All right, excellent. I guess, is there anything else you want to add on performing arts, or we pretty much cover everything?
No, I think that we have it all.
Okay, excellent. Membership.
Membership is very strong. It continues to grow. People write, they sign up, they bring sometimes we see that parents sign themselves up and their kids up at membership, both for Backus and for CCTV continues to grow and is strong. We have several levels, and the piece that I like to communicate to people is that the numbers that we have for our membership really speaks volumes to our funders. If our funders can see that our people in our community support this place, they will too. There's a lot of credibility in that. So, and I think that there's a number of people who don't understand that, but boy, once they hear that, they understand that it matters.
We're very lucky.
Yes.
Very lucky indeed. Okay. Contributions and donations, comments?
People are very generous, very good. With memorials, donations come in so many different forms, but every day there's a little something.
Unexpected check. Excellent. And any comment on seat memberships, sponsorships?
That remains very strong.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is, and it's nice, it's fun. When I see the neatest thing about the seat membership is when family members come home, whether it's for a holiday or whatever, they come into the auditorium and they want to go see their person's chair. And they want to see that tag is still there. Somehow it's just a heartwarming thing for them. So it's a nice way to support Backus and to remember your loved ones.
It's a nice acknowledgement.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. All right, well, that was an excellent review. Obviously, it was a very phenomenal year under the difficult circumstances, but your staff did a super job. All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the reports.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Reports are approved. Next item is old business, and I'm not aware of anything that needs to come up under old business. Okay. Next is new business. We have ISAC Meyer, Kutaska Community Action. He's going to tell us a wonderful story.
I'm really glad to be here. There has been a whole lot
that these buildings have really meant to this community. And I can remember about 6 years ago, walking into the Alexander Baker building for the first time with Ward, and of course been to the Backus Community Center a number of times, and you can't really do work or be in this town without ending up over here at some points. But I was over there, and it was a bright sunny day, and as we were walking around with some other community members who were looking into opportunities for, community wellness space or fitness space and programming for kids, and I turned to Ward as the sun was coming, and I said, this has to be housing. It's just such a gorgeous building. And that kind of began a start that I think happened a number of times for that building. A lot of you folks have probably been there on the journey over the last 20 years plus, and it's incredible to be at the place where we are now, where we have the funding, we have the dollars in place. We've got a surveyor coming over on Tuesday who's going to 3D map the building and get it scanned. I've got our architects in line. They've got their mechanical, electrical, and plumbing contractors ready, and they've got a ton of work to do because that building, we're hoping to set it ready for its next chapter in life. For folks who are maybe less familiar with the project and with all that's happening, we've been working, and by we I mean Pataska Community Action and our co-developer Trellis, which is a developer of affordable housing, also a nonprofit based out of the Twin Cities. We've been working towards the conversion of that building and adaptive reuse with the use of low-income housing tax credits and historic rehabilitation credits. And we've been awarded that funding, which means we are going to be able to do a ton of work to get that building into shape for housing and also to preserve it for that long term. And with that includes a lot of the things that are getting our architects, engineers, and surveyors kind of getting the whip cracked at their back, because we've got a deadline to get our application information in for our historic credits, because we want to replace those windows. We want to repair that building. We want to restore the floors. We want that to look, in many ways, as much like it did when it was really in use in this community and a core part of that community life. It's been vacant for 20 years. There's a lot of work to do. It's an incredibly blessed project because unlike most historic rehabs in the state, you don't get a community group to take care of it for 20 years, replace the roof, figure out all the, the building problems, remediate some of the lead and asbestos and those challenges. But, that's happened here, and I think that's what has gone into making this project such a reality. In a larger scale, in a larger kind of context, our community here has really suffered with the way our national housing market has gone. It's been 35 years since any multifamily general occupancy has been built in the county. That's been since the 1987 Tax Reform Act, which created the funding source that we'll provide for this project. I think the state and the governor have taken notice that this is the first time this county has benefited, and I think that has gone into helping make this project a reality. And where we are at now is kind of in a mad rush to get things figured out, get a bunch of that architectural work done, so the state Historic Preservation Office, the National Park Service, and others can approve our plans so we can get moving. That said, I know folks are probably wondering, when will it be done? What's the timeline? What are all those key things? I'll ask you in some ways to bear with us, because in many ways these dates and times, they float, depending on availability, on supply chain, when windows are going to become available and all that. But that said, we hope to have construction underway, people working in the building this coming winter at the latest. Hopefully end of third quarter, beginning of fourth, around then. We really want to be in there in the winter. We imagine construction will take about a year. We've got it building up. If we can get windows and get that closed up, hopefully we can be in there, work it all through the winter, and then come spring, summer, have that site work done and really get this project moving. It's direly needed for folks in our community, both for the housing and with interest rates rising and everything. We want to work quickly. We want to get that stuff done, keep our financing costs down as much as we can. But long term, I think we're in a gorgeous place. Developments often have a lot of challenges. I think we've had a ton of support from the community. I think we expect a ton of support from the state and our partners, and I think it will all come together well. One thing that is a challenge, I've alluded to it a bit, is that historic part. We do have an issue. Our state's historic credits are set to sunset this year. For those folks who are engaged with historic preservation, there is a hope, and it's probably very likely our state legislature will renew those credits again and continue those credits to exist. But we really do need folks to reach out and talk about the importance of those things. It's both wonderful if Alexander Baker can take and make use of those, but we've got other projects, other buildings across the state in our small rural communities that could really benefit. As I sit and talk with Lois and Bob and your board members about opportunities for Backus, it'd be really great to ensure we still have that credit for when the time comes around, when these windows maybe finally have their chance to get replaced, or when you have a project that can use that. So please do take that chance, talk to Rob Eklund, talk to your legislators, let them know those things matter. One thing I do want to note too as well, Bob had a couple key items for me to make sure to talk about, and one of those is, I think there has been some confusion. I do want to make it clear the project won't be owned by Backus anymore. We will be purchasing it, and by we, I mean the development group, Putaska, our partners with Trellis and investors. I do hope you guys can trust us and know we are a local community organization. We are very attentive. You can find us. You can find my number pretty easily. You can come talk to me right now. We want to do our absolute best to make sure that's a great property, that it runs well, that it looks great, that it's a joy in the community, because we live here as well. And that's one of those things we really pride ourselves on, is being a part of the community. We're not from the cities. We're not from out of state. This is our community. Our staff are here. I do have to drive up here, but I feel almost like if I could ask, I probably have a cot up in one of the rooms in Backus. And as we move forward here, one of the things we do want to do is engage the community to the extent we can with the project and what's happening. And to that end, we've had some talk, and I really do hope it can be possible to have CCTV get in there with their cameras. As work is going underway, just have some good programming. Let people see when things are coming down, when windows are getting replaced. There's some secret rooms. It might be fun to see what exactly is in there when those come down. And along with that, we're going to have some opportunities for the grand opening as well, for folks to be able to get in there, take a tour of the building. It's probably been a long time since, most people were in kindergarten, or maybe those first years of their life where they were in that building. And I think there's just a good opportunity to bring people in, give them the chance to see that building, let them see the good work we want to do. There's often a lot of stigma around affordable housing, but it's really housing that's in many ways affordable to most of the folks in our communities. About 60% of folks in our community are likely in that range. And I'm talking about International Falls residents, but Houston County generally are probably going to be in that income range, eligible for that project. We know we need market rate housing in the community. Putaska is working on that as well with others. And I hope and would be happy to talk with others about that and where other housing development opportunities. But I'm here for just AB and Backus tonight, so I do want to note that I hope we can have a grand opening, a groundbreaking sometime this year, get folks in the building, and we will also plan a Dusty Boots tour as we get a little further down with the building's completion, get that chance for people to come in before people start moving in. And I'm sure we'll have to have a nice grand opening ceremony as well once we get the chance.
Excellent. Any questions for Isaac?
In the old days, we had plug-ins for cars because they wanted to charge and start them. Now you got the new world coming in, they're gonna want, it's gonna be mandated, who knows what's gonna happen, but you gotta plug in your car to have it fuel. Is that all being thought of?
We are planning for it. One of the key things we need to do is also make sure we bring in the infrastructure for that.
Yeah, that's it.
It is going to be mandated. We didn't have it in our initial plans to be able to have the electric car charging ports in the parking lot. We do want to bring in the infrastructure though. We are thinking about it because we would want to make that happen if we could. And you're right, I'll tell you, my wife works for a combustion engine manufacturer, and the word is from almost all of them that they're going electric, the world's going electric, and it seems sooner or later we're going to have to do that whether we plan for it or not, so we need to plan for it.
Good question. Well, thank you, Isaac. I think one of the things I'm excited, I've seen some prototypes of not only the units inside, and by the way, there's a school down, or a building down in New Ulm, Minnesota, it's called Emerson Union. It was designed by the same architect that did Alexander Baker. The building looks like Alexander Baker, and this company has already gone through that process, and you should see the units inside. They're just gorgeous. You see the woodwork, you see the floors, you see the big windows, and they're apartments. It's unbelievable. But I think what kind of hit me on the prototypes that you've put out for renderings is the landscaping. It's going to be just like a park over there. There's going to be not only just a parking lot, but there'll be garden areas. I think you've got a playground involved. There'll be public space area, and with the landscaping, it's in a prime piece of real estate going into the falls. I think it's going to be a real showcase, and it's gonna help us as well here at Backus. It's gonna be a nice complex, so.
I do want to toot the horn for the AB building though. So there is Emerson Union is the name, or excuse me, it's State Street Apartments in New Ulm. And our architects, we were just up for a site visit with our architects and historic consultants on Friday. We were all over the building, and International Falls spent a bit more on their building. It was in a lot nicer shape, a lot more wood use in the New Ulm building. So as we came around to doing this, we realized that we might have some significant savings in a number of areas where we're seeing some challenges. So let's just say this school is nicer than that one in so many ways.
That's good to hear.
If you're an architecture nerd, I'd be happy to talk with you about that afterwards. I'll save the rest of you those details. There was many nice touches, and you could really tell, and I've had this feeling before, that the school board and the citizens of the community really saw that building as kind of an important step in establishing this town and community, and they did not spare many expenses. I mean, the craftsmanship, I mean, the folks have been in there, if you know the brickwork, you know the lights in that building, there was really so many nice touches made. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of that restored, but the things you couldn't see as well were done nicely, and I'm really appreciative of that now as we're trying to save that building, or give it a little makeover for the rest of its life. It's already been saved.
Very well. We're very, very fortunate to have you and your group involved. We're real very, very happy about that. I was gonna mention something too. I thought maybe Lois would have brought it up, but I guess we haven't really thought about it for this group, because this is a review of last year. This is the 20th year for Citizens for Backus EB. And, you know, the group that was originally, they worked on this, you know, get the organization going and save the buildings. A couple of you people are in here today. Man, thank you, because that is absolutely amazing. It could have been a totally different situation. So we do have a bunch of events planned, kind of to celebrate the thing. We've targeted August 10th as a general open house, kind of a display sort of thing. But there'll be other promotional things going on throughout the years as well to kind of show what this group has done and obviously showcase the two buildings. So look for more information and look forward to that and participate as well. So it's going to be a fun one. We'll probably have cake. All right. Well, that concludes the new business. I don't have anything else. Any other comments by anybody?
Invite everybody to have coffee.
Oh, we do have coffee and cookies. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
I was remiss not to mention that. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
We have door prizes before we go.
Oh, we have door prizes. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Screw that up.
Draw one. And I'll have Patty draw the next one. Okay, this is for the first thing that we're gonna give away is a pair of season tickets for next year. We have two. Are we doing one round or two?
One is worth 2 tickets.
So we're gonna draw two. Okay. Terry Schultz? You
All
want
right.
This will be 2 tickets for next season, 2022 and 2023.
Patty, are you drawing it? And then we have another one. Alan Burchell.
All right.
Here, let me put, no, let me have that one. Oh, we're so organized here. And this is for tickets for, which one do you want to do? Oh, for this Saturday night, Peggy Kelly.
Thank you.
And then we have one last one, and this is for the Shane Martin Band. Shane Martin Band will be here at the end of March, and they are country music, Alan Johnson. So thank you everyone for attending and participating tonight. Okay, I want to say one more thing before we go. Isaac touched a little bit on having the KCCTV crew go in AD. We do need to work out that, whether or not we can with the contractors and such. But my goal, my vision is to bring KCCTV in there like every couple of weeks and film and put that out on KCCTV and on YouTube. just think our public's gonna wanna know what's going on in there, and we can't always bring everybody in, but if we can show and share, and people might say, that was my third big room, or look what they're doing, I just think that we'll get the community engagement and have everybody really support the project, so please do, as we learn more about that, whether we can do it, and then when we get started, there will be information put out, so be
That's a great idea. Okay, anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second? In favor?
Aye.
Noes? Meeting adjourned, thank you, everybody.
cookies.